Hey guys, HuShang here. Welcome to another Starcraft 2 lesson. It's currently 5:31 p.m. and we're going to be looking at my protoss versus ZERG game here that I played maybe a week ago. And this is a game against someone you probably recognize, CHAM. And if you don't know him, then CHAM is a pretty strong Latin American player. Probably only second to someone like Special. So definitely no slouch in this matchup. So I'm putting my pylon here on the low ground. Just gonna grab my gate and do a pretty normal scout. And CHAM's just going for a pretty normal play as well. 16 hatchery. So normal stuff so far. And the reason I wanted to show this replay in particular is because I usually show games against maybe mid GMs, so this is definitely a much more high level game. But I really like, this is one of the things that I picked up from day 9 actually, is I really like learning from games that are one-sided. I really don't think you should watch games that are really close, because it's super difficult to determine, you know, what mistakes and what correct plays contributed to the win if there's a lot of back and forth. Like, the very fact that it's back and forth means that both players are constantly making blunders. So this is a very one-sided game. Getting my cyber. I'm going to be playing the style that Zest popularized again recently. The mass voidray style, or at least a mass voidray opening. Although this is something that, I'm not sure if it was Naniwa or SOS, but one of those two came up with this back in the day. And I know Naniwa played it a lot. So this isn't something new, it's just kind of a resurgence of an old style due to the voidray buff. So I'm going to grab my Stargate. CHAM's playing pretty normal. I just want to make sure here that he's not going to make a bunch of Zerglings. I played Solar recently, actually. I was trying to snipe him and get some good practice. And he did this really early Zergling rush. He kind of snuck out like 8 over the side. It's completely nasty. So I'm very scared of that now. But fortunately, he's playing pretty macro. I should go scout the third. I don't know why. I went back this game. We got a Stalker on the way. I definitely should have scouted that third though. And I believe he actually sees my Stargate here, so this is kind of unfortunate. I would have loved to have denied this earlier, but we were kind of playing a game of chicken, and I was trying not to chrono. So he won the little mini game there, but we did get the Overlord, so not a completely one-sided trade. Now CHAM's just going to pull back his Overlords. I believe he also noticed that I was making a Voidray first. So, not going to get any more kills. He also only sent 1 Overlord, which is a little bit rare in the middle of GM. Pretty much every game I've been getting 2 Overlord kills. So maybe something that the really top Zergs are doing a little better is just kind of only sending 1 Overlord and keeping the rest back. So I'm going to go look for that, but of course it's nowhere to be found. You know what? He might not have noticed that I went Voider actually, because you don't need these Spore Crawlers just yet. This is actually quite a bit earlier than you would need to get them. So he could cut that corner if he was really in the know. But yeah, this is... Honestly, I think this style is a bit broken. I'm going to come out. Most prods are going to tell you this style is super fair. But it's pretty good. You probably want to play it if you're protoss in this matchup. Maybe Zergs will figure out some better way to play against it, but I think it's incredibly strong. It plays on the fact that Zerg has a really hard time defending air units in the early game, and you can kind of really limit the scope of their strategies. So I'm just going to continuously make Void Rays. I'm doing this quite a bit different than the way Zest did it, and the way Stats is doing it, where you go 1 Stargate into third into triple Stargate. So instead what I'm doing, this is unfortunate, he's going to see it. Instead, what I'm doing is continuously making them off one Stargate and then only adding an additional Stargate. So just 2. And the advantage this gives me is much faster accumulation of the void rays in the early mid game, and then less resources invested so that I can also transition out. So you can see me here poking with some void rays, just kind of seeing what's up. A really subtle thing you can pick up on here is, did he get the lair or did he not get the lair? And if he doesn't get a lair, then it's very likely that he's doing some sort of really early Queen Ravager type all-in. So I like to get that info lately, especially with a style like this that's really susceptible to that kind of play. And then the next thing I want to look for, which is the main reason we're doing this guide, well, guide, it's a walkthrough, I guess. But the main reason I wanted to do this video is because a lot of my students, in fact, one of the students I just taught today, I showed this replay to him, is one of the main things they're doing wrong is in this matchup, they're not looking for 4th base, and they're not making sure that the Zerg is macroing. So against Terran or against another protoss, you might see them take a 4th base, and that would indicate that they are playing a macro game. But the problem is when you're playing against Zerg, that isn't the case at all. In fact, most of the time when they do want to all-in you, they will still take the 4th because they want that larva. So it doesn't really tell you anything at all. And so what I'm doing here is I'm actually just looking for that 4th. And you can see here that I haven't seen it. I haven't seen a 4th base. And so that generally means that they're doing an all-in. And the rule that you want to stick to is if they never take their 4th, and on top of that, if they never drone their 4th, you never need to take your own 4th. You can literally just sit on 3 bases, and you'll always be in a good position because protoss is much more efficient on the same amount of workers. So you can see here that I'm on 60. I've already stopped making workers, and CHAM is on 66. So just a little bit above me, but still within reason for me to not take my own expansion. And I again checked that he didn't take this base, so I know he's all in right now. You can see he's going for a Nidus play. Now realizing this, I'm going to do a recall and just kind of set up. You can see in the meantime that I'm basically just, I'll pause it here. I'm basically just spamming gates, getting ready to to mass warp in. But one mistake I did make, I will point out, is I didn't grab a forge. The reason I didn't grab a forge is because I'm playing this style for a student, and this is like literally the first or second time I played the build. But I should have added a forge before these gates. So a little bit of a misstep there, but not a huge deal. Sorry, I just had to cough. Alright, and charge is finishing up. I've only made units, so it's pretty hard for me to die here. And unfortunate for him, he doesn't quite have his Nidus up. So we just kind of come in here, catch all his Hydras, and kind of completely murder him, to be honest. The reason this is so one-sided is because he had no idea that I went into the ground transition. And he basically assumed that I was going carriers. Because, you know, if you go Queen Hydra, really, really strong against someone who is rushing into air toss. But I went into ground, which is another reason this style is really strong. So I went into ground, and he didn't do something that was more ground focused, like Roach Queen would have been really good against what I'm doing. Although we still would have held with this setup. I'm buying a little bit of time here, waiting until the last second. I overcharge, it doesn't help that much, to be honest. But yeah, coming in here, as long as you don't take your own 4th and you don't, you know, over-tech, make sure you can make units, then a lot of these timings, these 3 with 4th hatch timings are not that strong. So really important scout to be doing in the mid game. Make sure you do that every game. And yeah, we won this handily enough to just counterattack here, warp in units, and go for the throat. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this little tutorial, this little YouTube video, and if you did, make sure to like it. And yeah, I think that's it. So I'll see you in the next one. Peace.